Good evening. Well, it's one of those days for Cameroonian democracy. I made a comment today and I announced that Belobuma Marguerite was going to be having a press conference tomorrow because in my mind, we were already on Thursday. The week has been so brutal to so many Cameroonians with the development of events. The week has been so busy, so brutal, but yeah, it's reality show. We are here, of course. You know, the Constitutional Council. You know of the Constitutional Council's rulings today, with the major event being the barring of Maurice Kamto from running for president in October of this year. Joining me tonight, I will be speaking to a politician who is young and is vibrant, who happens to be the national president for the youth wing of the UNDP of Belobuma, who is himself running for president and has resigned from his position as minister in the Biya government, has decided to pull out of an alliance with the Biya regime this year. And so, John MBAFOR sera notre invité. Il est le président national de l'aile jeune de l'UNDP. Je voudrais avoir ses impressions sur la décision du Conseil constitutionnel entérinant la décision d'écarter Maurice Kamto de la course présidentielle. Nanja Mary, good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Giselle Kenye-Foso, thank you so much for joining. As I said earlier, it's been a heavy week for everybody. A massive hit on Cameroonian democracy, which is still in infancy. But these are the facts. Maurice Kamto is out of the race. He will not be running in this presidential election. In an unprecedented move. We know of rigging the elections, but one thing we had never seen until now was for the government to maneuver in some of the most clumsy ways, in some of the most arrogant ways to bar the main adversary to the Biya regime from running for elections. What he does next will redefine or determine how the opposition goes and how the next election sways. Paul MBAFOR will be joining us. He's a National Youth Wing President of the UNDP of Belobuma, and he himself has run for elections before, but he will be telling us what he thinks about the decision of the Constitutional Council. Paul, we are here. We are inviting you. I know you've been ready for a few minutes and I appreciate your patience. As soon as you're ready to come on, please go ahead and accept the invite so we can proceed. Alphonse Ngwe, merci et merci d'être là également ce soir. I'm here because you're here, so I really do appreciate your time. I know it's been a busy week for everybody, and I also know that it's kind of late Cameroonian time, so if you are here today, I really do appreciate the sacrifice. And yeah, Maurice Kamto, many a Cameroonian politician had seen this come for the past 7 years. We had seen an interior minister become more and more brazen with his threats to bar him from running for the election. And in as much as Maurice Kamto chose to pull his party out of tween elections in 2020, In 2024, the government made a move to extend the mandates of its mayors, municipal councillors, and members of parliament, putting the MRC leader at the time in a bad posture, and clearly showing that the regime was maneuvering to push him out of the opportunity to run for office. Well, we now know on the 26th of July, in a heavily militarized environment, the elections organizing body made the decision to kick him out of the race and line up 12 out of more than 80 candidates. He decided to appeal, and he went ahead and appealed, but today, the Constitutional Council, after deliberations and after hearing him out yesterday, decided he will not be running for elections. So he will not be running for elections, but you still have 12 other candidates running, and the decisions he makes right now could determine in what direction the election sways in 2025. At a time where the average Cameroonian is clamoring for change and is under the leadership of a 43-year-old Biya regime. The man has turned 93 in February, seeking an 8th term. And in the last 2 to 3 years, he has not seemed in very good shape, to put it very best. Remember him in 2022 of December at the USA Africa Summit, where he seemed to not know where he was. Christian m'y a fait, mais tu n'as qu'à supplier pour que je parle en français. Désormais, je vais prendre l'impôt pour m'exprimer en français, parce que là, vous faites la paresse. Vous faites vraiment la paresse et c'est pas nice. Mais si le volume est bon, il faut bien me dire, comme ça, you know, we can proceed. Cyril, bonsoir. Alain et Tamé, mes hommages, bonsoir. Et bonsoir à tous. Joseph, why are you crying? That is politics, and that is politics in a dictatorship. These things are never easy. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate it. I try. In a dictatorship, politics is never fun. When the key player or one of the players is also the umpire, you can almost predict the results, right? So yeah, and it reminds me of the same way in which Sonko was rejected by the Constitutional Council or barred by the Constitutional Council for running for president, and that's how a guy like Diomaye Faye was able to emerge. It's true that he had been a right-hand man of Sonko, but still the Constitutional Council barred him from running for the election that finally saw Faye win and become president of Senegal. Who tell you say I no fit talk pidgin? What do you mean, Papi Bikanda? So you feel say me, I be Anglophone, eh? They born me, eh? My mommy and papa na Cameroon Southwest, then I no go fit talk pidgin. What do you talk? I dey talk am. I dey talk am. I dey talk pidgin. Eh? If you tell me say volume dey fine, I go add am. Don't embarrass me. Vous avez raison, Monsieur Joseph. Le Conseil constitutionnel fait ce qu'il fait. Les Camerounais font ce qu'ils font. CJ Warob, Ambrosio, bonsoir. Merci. Oui, vous avez raison. Le Cameroun est bilingue. And Cameroonians, French, and east of the Mungo are our brothers. So, yeah. As soon as we have him join on live, I will go ahead and we can start the conversation. Paul, if you're here, please kindly let us know and accept the invite so that we can start talking. Yes. And if anybody else wants to jump on this live, this Facebook Live, and make a comment about what happened today, you are free and you are welcome. I know many of you are experiencing some kind of brain fatigue because of what happened today. You know, many of you are crestfallen, but you know, the show must go on, and we are here. These events are the events that make the news, and so we are here to talk about the news, to report the news, to comment on the news, to edify. So feel free if you want to jump on live while we wait for our guest today. happy to do so. Just let me know so I can send you an invite and you can jump on. Non, nous ne comparons pas, Alphonse, le Cameroun à un autre pays. Vraiment, il n'y a pas de comparaison à faire. Le Cameroun est unique en son genre, c'est bien clair. Mais je parle également, essentiellement de la décision du Conseil constitutionnel à écarter le principal adversaire du régime billard. Et c'est un peu ce qui s'est passé, du moins sur le cas du Conseil constitutionnel et la décision d'écarter le principal opposant qui était Sonko au Sénégal. You know? Now, what happened before and what happened after? I mean, we just don't know because Cameroon is Cameroon. But, you know, it is what it is. The facts are the facts. Monsieur le régional Emmanuel Tonga, bonsoir. Bonsoir. Papi Biganda, qui a décrété que ce sont les 3 langues majeures? Le Cameroun est d'abord bilingue, mais ce n'est pas les Camerounais qui sont bilingues. So, I don't think that it is even true to say Cameroon is bilingual or Cameroonians are bilingual, let alone trilingual or multilingual. Zake Sali, Bello, Kamto, Chiroma, est-ce que ça peut être le trio gagnant? Peut-être que nous allons le savoir dans les semaines à venir. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que Monsieur Bello Bouba a une conférence de presse qu'il tient, un rendez-vous avec la presse le vendredi dans les locaux de son siège à Yaoundé. Et vous aurez peut-être l'occasion de lui poser la question. Ce qui est sûr, c'est qu'il a l'intention, il va se présenter à l'élection présidentielle. Il a été retenu parmi les 12 candidats. Il a effectivement, selon ses proches démissionnés du gouvernement, a remis sa lettre de démission. Et donc, ils vont nous dérouler leur plan d'action et vous aurez l'occasion de décider, de faire la décision sur qui vous allez élire au soir du 12 octobre. Brian, good to see you, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Ramirez Nesta, that is a personal decision. It is a personal decision. Une chose est sûre, c'est que les droits civiques sont extrêmement rétrécis actuellement au Cameroun. I saw Cameroonians demonstrate in Belgium today. Il y a eu des manifestations devant l'ambassade en Belgique aujourd'hui. Des centaines d'activistes sont descendus dans la rue à l'annonce de la décision de rejeter la candidature de Maurice Kamto. Ils ont, pour certains, été interpellés par la suite par la police belge, mais ils ont 2 heures plus tard été libérés. So, civil disobedience is your decision, it is your choice. However you want to express your frustration is your choice. On a également vu les arrestations des sympathisants de Maurice Kamto hier à l'extérieur de la Cour constitutionnelle, parmi lesquels même on a également raflé une journaliste étudiante, une journaliste stagiaire, Gabrielle Souga, mais qui, fort heureusement, a été libérée cet après-midi. Elle est stagiaire, journaliste stagiaire au journal The Post. Bonsoir Bata Congo, bonsoir et merci d'être là. Nous attendons notre invité, mais entre-temps, la voie est libre pour tout le monde qui souhaite monter en direct, faire un commentaire sur l'actualité très brûlante de cette semaine, qui est effectivement le rejet ou bien de la candidature ou l'écartement de Maurice Kamto de la course présidentielle du 12 octobre prochain. Ça aussi, c'est votre choix. Neba Jerome, freedom is never given, it is seized. Biya and his cartel can be beaten can never be beaten via the ballot. It's a 43-year-old dictatorship, so you might have a point. Georges Modeste, hi, thanks for being here. Emmanuel, monsieur le régional, mais si vous n'avez pas d'inconvénient, il est peut-être l'opportunité pour vous de nous joindre ici et de faire un commentaire sur l'actualité de ce soir ou de cet après-midi. JC Kamga, ça c'est une question peut-être pour les dieux. Ça c'est une question peut-être pour les dieux. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que M. Bello Bouba a rompu son alliance avec le RDPC, du moins officiellement, et il a décidé de se présenter à cette élection présidentielle. Mr. Nesta, the Constitutional Council is the highest court in the land, so that will be a stretch. Yeah. And what we know is that there were more than 80 candidates running. Joseph, you are joining us?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Perfect. I can hear you perfectly. Do you want to make any comments about what happened today at the Constitutional Council?
Yeah. I would say it's really sad, but it is also not surprising because we have seen the same thing, almost the same thing in 2018. So it was like you spend the days trying to explain things, to show your proofs and so on, but at the end it is irreceivable. So
Irrecevable.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one
Now
thing is
this year,
certain. He was crucified in the courts in the Cameroonian kangaroo courts, but certainly was crucified in the court. He crucified the regime in the court of public opinion. I mean, on a vu les lettres qui ont apparu mystérieusement, qui écrit au président de l'ECAM, au président du conseil électoral, par le BINAT, estimant que le vrai président du Manidem était nul autre que Dieudonné Yebga, et on parlait de 2021. Alors qu'en 2021, il y a des vidéos qui émergent dans des entretiens dans lesquels il reconnaît que la nouvelle présidence d'Anani Seikane. How does
tout
it
à fait.
inspire? Est-ce que ceci inspire la confiance en la justice, en les institutions de Cameroun?
Bah, en effet, ce qui se passe, c'est que il y a tellement de choses de la même sorte qui ont été faites, qui ont été dites, dont la population s'est un peu, on va dire, lamentée de cela, mais à la fin, rien n'a changé puisque toutes les décisions qui sont prises par le gouvernement, à la fin, sont celles qui sont appliquées. Et il y a presque rien que la population puisse faire. C'est-à-dire, bien qu'aux yeux de la population, il semble que ce soit une injustice, que ce soit des choses illégales, mais à la fin, cela finit par passer et personne ne peut rien y faire en fait.
Avant de revenir sur le Conseil constitutionnel plutôt controversé dans cette décision et l'écartement du principal adversaire ou opposant à Paul Biya, il y a un autre cas qui semblait pour beaucoup insolite, mais assez important et plutôt courageux selon les autres, le cas de M. Bessiping du
Je
parti
référais,
Refait,
ouais, le président,
qui vient à la Cour constitutionnelle et décide même de se présenter à l'élection présidentielle parce qu'il a un problème sérieux. Et le problème de plusieurs enseignants et professeurs, enseignants vacataires, ou pardon, plusieurs enseignants, il n'a pas été payé. Son salaire a été suspendu indûment à partir de 2021, janvier 2020, fin 2020 même d'ailleurs. Et ce n'est qu'en 2023 qu'il est restitué après moult recherches, aller-retour au ministère à Yaoundé depuis Penka Michel, d'où il venait, il a été surveillant général. Mais ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il n'a pas eu de rappel sur 3 ans.
effectivement. Ah,
C'est pour
effectivement.
ça qu'il vient à la Cour constitutionnelle. Mais vous l'avez vu quasiment chassé de la Cour. Il n'a même pas eu le temps de ranger ou de classer ses effets et ses documents. What did that make you feel?
En effet, c'est une des choses qui m'a fait le plus mal hier. Jusqu'à hier, jusqu'à ce que je vois sa vidéo d'hier, les vidéos précédentes étaient toujours des vidéos où il faisait rire. Il disait qu'il ne faut pas ajouter l'argent sur l'argent. Ça faisait rire. Moi, ça me faisait rire jusqu'à là. Mais hier, quand j'ai vu la vidéo où il a été interviewé après d'être expulsé du Conseil constitutionnel, il a essayé de relater un peu tous ses déboires, partant de Pencamichel, ayant logé dans un hôtel à Banjul pour 10 jours, des choses comme ça et tout. Et Et à la fin, il était, comme on dit en anglais, il était helpless, non? Il était impuissant devant la situation. Et il a dit que un jour, l'histoire se souviendra et l'histoire va juger tous ceux qui lui ont fait du mal et ils vont payer avec des intérêts. Il a dit quelque chose, il était même hopeless carrément quand il parlait et ça m'a vraiment touché. Moi, j'ai vraiment eu mal.
Yeah.
Je ne sais pas, je me dis carrément que ce serait même le cas d'essayer de faire même un laitier, une cotisation pour lui. Franchement, moi, je cotiserais pour lui parce que vraiment, j'ai vraiment eu de la peine pour son cas.
So you want them to raise money for him and you're ready to contribute just to provide him with something. But in the
Yes.
meantime, the question is, how and when is justice rendered? I'm just learning that the Minister of Finance has asked to meet him and will be receiving him in audience just to speak with him and to see if this is founded so that he can help to provide him with whatever salary arrears they are owing him. So that is a good development, but it's something to still follow so that, you know, you need to follow through so that we are sure that his money is reimbursed him because, I mean, teachers are not millionaires and they are the ones who
Mhm.
are the bedrock, the foundation of our society because they train the future, they train the leaders of tomorrow. So it's something to look into and it's something to follow closely.
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, he's maybe one person and he has got like the chance to be listened by because he like was like a candidate to for the elections. But maybe there are many people that are even in a worse situation than his, and so the best way to solve the issue is to address the let's say the question like deeply. Yeah, but what can we do?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining on. If you want to get up, totally fine. I understand. But if you want to say something else, if you have a message to the people who are crestfallen like yourself this evening, who feel hurt, who feel that the democracy of our country, which is still in its infancy, has been trampled upon a time too many with this decision, you are welcome to do so.
Yeah, my main, well, I hear people say that since Kamto cannot be candidate anymore, he should like follow another candidate like, I don't know, Kabral Libi or who else. But my question is, when they will even do what they call a coalition and so on, and they will go to elections,
Mhm.
even if they are the winners, and then Elekam and the Conseil constitutionnel say that no, that our pa is still president. What are they going to do? Are they going to do again that Conseil constitutionnel stuff? We know how it will end up. What are they going to do? I mean, that's my question. I don't know what can be the issue after an election in Cameroon because, well, I know who will be the winner in any case, but what can we do against that? I don't know. So
What do you
that is
think
still
you can do? Do you have any suggestions? What do you think you can do? I know Maurice Campbell preaches change in peace, but
yeah.
I mean, from what you have described, you know, and I mean, with a very ruthless police force, that a very heavily militarized political environment, do you think that this is an ideal that is immediately achievable?
No, but when is the, I mean, but we might also accept that the actual president has to stay there until he dies. We can also accept that and not go to elections anymore. Because as soon as like while he's still in charge, I don't see how you will replace him by elections because it is obvious. Like from 2018, we saw Maurice Kamto go to Conseil Constitutionnel. We saw him do things, and in the end, it was like irreversible. The same things happening is happening this year. So I don't have like any hope of change by elections in October.
One
So
last
that's my
thing,
position about it.
the
Yeah.
name that everybody's kind of uncomfortable or unhappy to call, Dieudonné Yebga, the man
Yes.
who emerged on the towards the tail end of the process to deposit his declaration of candidacy at Elections Cameroon. The man who now says he is president of Manidem, he's the rightful president of Manidem, even though there's been proof the former SG that was under him, Jean Benefice Mevoa, who came out and exposed
Yeah.
him and recorded conversations which he went viral, which he put on social media, you know, just pretty much dismantling his scheme. What is there to say about him? Do you think this was profoundly intentional or it was just a game of circumstance and he was trying to settle a personal vendetta he had with the current Manidem? or the rightful Manidem president per the Minat in 2018?
No, what I think is that the president of Manidem, as Maître Ngwana said yesterday, the president of Manidem was Anise Kani, and once Maurice Kamto went to deposit his candidacy like on Friday, and they went to look for that Yebga, and he went to deposit it on his own candidacy on Monday. And during that night, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, the website of Minat was changed, his name was put there, and so on. So I don't think it was even his own initiative. I think he was sent by the Minat or something like that.
But his former Secretary General, Jean-Bénéfice Mévois, whom I interviewed here last week, tells us that he thinks that upon hearing that the Manidem was going to fill Maurice Kamto, he got the idea, and he's probably the one who went to look for a new plan of the regime to see how he could cash out on this. Do you think
Well,
there's any truth to that?
maybe, but it looks obvious that also the government, RDPC would not
Engineer.
have let.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have done their best to prevent Kamto from being candidate, because when there was the debate on mandat imperatif and so on, they were all saying in TV that Kamto cannot be candidate with MSC, and that he had to look for a political party that has les élus in order to present his candidacy. And so when he went to look for Manidem, then they found a new reason, a new way to prevent him from being candidate. Because I also think that they are not so happy with somebody going to Conseil Constitutionnel to protest against the elections. You know, 2018 was like was not disorder, but was not that peaceful for them, because they had to arrest people from MRC and so on. I think they didn't want to have the same situation this year, so the best way was to prevent him from being candidate.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Maurice Kamto barred from the presidential race. He will not be running. And would he, and if so, will he decide to back another candidate is something that we will probably find out in the next couple of weeks. But what we now know, we have seen a few reactions from politicians, condemning the ostracization or the exclusion of a main opposition figure. We've seen the likes of Akbar Bala, who has come out in a strong statement and said, this is not something that should be done. In the morning, he had asked for opposition politicians to stand in solidarity of this man, who visibly has been persecuted by the regime for his dissenting voice. You have other national figures like Richard Bona who have come out and said, this was expected, but it is terrible. It is not acceptable. And several other people have spoken, writers, Pierre de Colo, and you name them. The general trend is that this is not acceptable. And, the environment is very morose this evening, irrespective of political banner. The general impression is that justice was not done. That is the general impression. Yeah.
Well, I can also,
Mhm.
yes, please excuse me to interrupt you. I can also tell you that there are people from PCR and Kabalibi's political party that are so happy, and that are saying that it is Kamto's fault because he did not present himself to the elections of 2020, the legislative and municipal, and so he's just paying for his mistakes. And there are also people from CPDM that are, of course, they are saying that the right decision was said in the Conseil Constitutionnel. And so, I mean, every single thing you say, they will always find people that agree on the contrary, that can also stand for the contrary. So that is also, that's not so obvious as a situation.
I want to thank you for your contribution and just for jumping here. Short notice. I really do appreciate you. Um, Thank you so much for your time. Notes taken. I've seen what you said. I've noted. Paul Sinze, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much
Yes. Okay,
for
perfect.
accepting it too. And yeah, I tried my best in English.
Okay, perfect. You did just a really good job. I appreciate it. Bye for now.
Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Empowered Strategics. You said you wanted to jump on. You are more than welcome to do so. Yeah, while our guest takes his sweet time, I'm going to go ahead and add you so that you can jump on here. Your contribution is very welcome. And the conversation really has been centered around the rejection of Maurice Kamto's appeal, or the throwing out of his appeal from the Constitutional Council. And so, as we all now know, he will not be running in this race. But in so doing, he has been erected into a political monument that transcends the electoral process. He has been erected into a colossus, a martyr, a political martyr. And the regime's soft underbelly has been exposed. We know for a fact that the Constitutional Council has sacrificed, the judiciary has sacrificed independence at the altar of regime favors and banknotes. So one thing is certain, he's no longer in the race as a candidate, but he still remains very present, and the decisions he makes in the next few days will definitely determine the outcome of the election, and would sway the election in a way that might be unexpected. So, yeah. Empowered Strategics, I sent the invite. Investir, justement, more than welcome to do so. I can go ahead and add you on. Yeah. But we're certainly not talking investments today. We're not talking investments, no. Nobody wants to talk bucks. Yeah, everybody feels kind of low. Yeah, if you go ahead and send a request. Yeah, Neba Jerome, you are totally right. I think that I don't know if that was his lawyer. That didn't look like a lawyer. That looked like a bailiff. But I correct me if I'm wrong. Not today. Joseph is not going to be coming up today. We have Investir Justement who's coming up, Empowered Strategist as well. I am waiting on Paul MBAFOR to join us. I sent him the invite as soon as he gets it. We will be live having the conversation. 30 million francs is the caution, the deposit that is required to be able to run for president. And to be able to recoup it, you need a 10%. Why are you doing this, Empowered? I sent you a request. All you need to do is approve it. But if you call me in the middle of this conversation, what happens is I go mute. So kindly just hit the accept button on the request I sent and you will be live. But it's a bad idea for you to call me while I'm on this call. Really, really just defeats the purpose. Yeah. Elvis, I see you, and I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to have you. Yeah. Monsieur Wapi, bonsoir.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Oh, doing pretty good, and happy that we can have a conversation in the Queen's language, or in the King's language, because Queen Elizabeth II passed and King Charles is now the regent. So do you have any comments about the barring of Maurice Kamto from the presidential race?
A lot of thoughts. It's been running through my head all day, but it's really a sad day, a historic day, I would say, for our country. I'm not sure that justice was served there. But even the fact that he had to go to the Constitutional Council in the first place was already outrageous,
Totally agree.
because as we saw, there was a communication between the ministry and Elecam, which should have never happened if we, as we all say, Elecam is an independent institution, right? The ministry should not be
Metal
able to.
transporters.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I think, when that happened to me, it was the end. Not that at any point I even thought that we were going to win this election in any case, but when that happens, when you actually see it, it's a different feeling, even if you were expecting it.
And I just, it just brings me to ask you, this is a regime that likes to boast that for 43 years they have done an excellent job and they've won elections with Sovietic scores since 1992 and Frundi, where the president Bia officially ended with a 39 percentage point. Since then, the scores that they've presented as results are Sovietic. Why do you think they are barring him if in any case they're confident that they're going to win by such a major difference in points, in percentage points?
In my opinion, they're not scared of the election itself, but what would happen after the election. As I think Joseph that was here earlier was saying, we, because the movement that Camto inspire is something that could really lead to unrest after the election. So I think in their mind it's better to, as we say, tuer dans l'œuf, right? To kill the movement early before it ever becomes something.
Yeah, so, well, it's a sad day for Cameroonian democracy, no doubt. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on here and give your comments. Is there anything that you are going to do to express your frustration, or this is it? Are you waiting for his next statement release, or are you done with Cameroonian politics? What are your next moves from a personal perspective?
Personally, for years, I've been saying that I'm done, but you're never really done, right? It's home. It's Cameroon after all. Even if you spend months or a year without thinking about it, when events like this happen, you are somehow always draw back into it. Um, for the moment, I'm just hopeful, right? We have seen a lot of regime being toppled even after winning election with, like you said, those Soviet scores. He was the case in Tunisia during the Arab Spring. He had just won an election with, I think, like 87%, but then 6 months down the line, the people took him down. So I'm still hopeful for something to happen. And as much as they are worried about what will happen after the election, that's also something I believe the people is looking
Mr.
at.
Wafi, I appreciate you so much for being up close, personal, vulnerable. Your feeling is mutual to many or those of many other Cameroonians. Dissolution by the Constitutional Council not questioned. Its independence today for people rejecting this Camto from the presidential race. On that note, John Bafo is joining us. He's the National Youth League President of the NUD Party of Bello Buba, Nigeria. We're going to be having a conversation with you as well. We're happy to have you stay in the comment section and contribute. We just cannot keep you on here as a guest for now. Thank you so much. Paul, happy to have you.
Hello.
I can hear you very well. There's an echo.
Okay, I can hear you too. Can you hear me?
There's an echo when you speak or when I speak.
And how do I handle that?
I'm not quite sure.
Um,
You might have a second receiver that you might want to, the volume of which you might want to drop.
Not at all. I just have my phone here with me. I have another receiver here.
Okay. Yeah, I hear myself. It's uncomfortable. But good evening and thank you for joining us. You are a politician yourself. You've led the youth wing of the NUDP of Bello Kuba Marguerite for almost a decade now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Since 2017, so yeah, it's almost a decade. It's
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah. Today, since yesterday, we've witnessed proceedings, appeal hearings at the Constitutional Council, and really the major decision from there today, the major ruling that was expected was that of the candidate from Manidem. And you know what the story is now. Do you have any comments to make?
What I would say, first of all, I will comment on my own accord, on my own, in my own capacity as a
As an
citizen.
individual from MBAFOR and not as in the name of the NUDP.
Yes. So what I would say as a personal comment is I'm disappointed, like most Cameroonians, that Professor Maurice Kamto was disqualified. I'm not a jurist, so I won't go into the debate of the legality of his file being rejected. I'll just say that in a country where democracy is honestly practiced, a major figure of the political scene can and should not be disqualified from an election, no matter which one, presidential or whatsoever. Just just political elegance imposes, even if his file had the so-called loopholes, it is politically elegant for the ruling party to let one of the major contenders to run, to even give credibility to the so-called elections they want to run. Eliminating Professor Maurice Kamto already put a huge doubt on the credibility of these elections. I'm not the one saying it. It's not a secret that he is one of the major political actors with a very huge following. So it is not fair to the electoral process. It's not fair to the democracy we purport to be building. It's not fair to the millions of Cameroonians who are his militants. It's not fair to the other candidates who are running, because imagine that another candidate happens to beat President Paul Biya. His victory is always going to carry the stain of Professor Kamto's non-participation. So personally, I think it's wrong that his candidacy was rejected. Now, as a politician and as a member, an executive of the NUDP, which is the major opposition party now, I would say the NUDP has always respected the decisions taken by state institutions. So I will stand by that respect. We accept the decision, we respect it, and we wish that if on the 12th of October, the NUDP receives the trust of the people, we are going to work on all the necessary reforms that will make it impossible for what happened today to ever repeat itself again.
That brings me to ask you about your national leader. Was minister and since 1979 has occupied solid functions, but for a 7-year gap when he exiled himself. His decision this year to step away from his alliance with the BRG and step down from his office or announce that he is stepping down as minister and will be running for presidential candidate. Is this something that you who are in the inner circles saw come?
I would say I saw it coming, but not. It's not long ago I saw it coming. If you have looked closely at Comrade Bilba Maigari. He's a man of very few words. He's
And
a
he
man
sought
of...
to hold his cards very close. So you didn't read him.
Yes, he holds his cards very close. And he listens more than he actually speaks. He listens a lot. So we, the militants of the party, I'm the president of the youth wing, and you can know that the youth have been very, very revolted against the alliance with the ruling party, and that has been for more than 2 decades now. Since I joined the party, I met that atmosphere where virtually the entire base of the party is hostile to the platform, and we expressed it over and over again. In 2018, my predecessor, Dr. Nancy Elvis, was very vocal in opposing the decision to go in for elections in support of President Bia's candidacy. I wasn't present at that Congress, though I was already the National Youth Wing president. I voluntarily chose to be absent. So we kept on expressing our discontentment and our disapproval. And he kept saying he's heard, he's listened, and he will make his decision in due time. But a couple of...
It took him 20 years from what you are saying to arrive at that decision. Isn't that proof that this is not a leader who necessarily listens? I mean, if it takes him 20 years, isn't that a hard-headed leader who's not listening to his age? The majority of which are young people. 76% of Cameroonian population are people under 40.
To answer you or take you a little bit down history lane, in November 1982, Bello was appointed prime minister, the first prime minister of the BR regime. That was November 82.
And he was PM.
He was PM. In October 83, in August 83, he resigned from that position, barely 9 months into the post. It took him 9 months to notice a lot of derailments, a lot of things.
20 years.
Let me. I'm going to answer you. So it took him 9 months, barely 9 months, to be disgruntled, disgusted, and he banged the door and left. And I want to assure you that many people have blamed him for having abandoned the ship too soon. People have told him, had he been patient a little bit more, had he hung in there a little bit more, it would have prevented a lot of unnecessary and unfortunate tragic events that took place in the history of our country. Had he,
for example, I mean, I'm sure you
I'm
know
talking
the
about
story of Francis Cook, and the when he came third with 19% in the election, and the strong feeling from the U.S. ambassador at the time, believing that if he had thrown his weight beyond the candidate or the Union for Change, this country would probably know a different destiny right now. But I know you have more details on that you want to share.
Yes, I think the facts of history tell a different story. So before I come to this answer, let me conclude the answer to the former question. In 82, he resigned too soon and was blamed for doing so. The same people blaming him now for having resigned too soon, now they are blaming him for having waited too long. I think he just took his time. He stayed that long because he believed that the terms of the platform that was signed in 97 with the CPDM were very, very beneficial for the country's development and safeguard. And if he stayed that long, it's because he kept hoping and kept crying out and kept writing and silently protesting. He was never listened to, and patience having its limit, he came to his limit and decided to break away. The head of state being absent. So I'll leave that answer there. Coming to the 92 story, there are so many versions that are going on there, and I would like to seize the opportunity to restore some truth. and give our own side of the story, not ourselves the story. But what happened? People say if Bello had thrown his weight behind Frunzi, things would have changed. And they blame him for his statement on Africa #1 when he said he respects the decision of the Supreme Court. That's the statement for which everybody blames him today and calls him a traitor. But I want to draw your attention to a little detail. It's not a detail, it's a capital event, but that nobody has ever commented about. If you recall, and if you go back and do your research, you'll discover, you'll find out that
Frundi had withdrawn his complaints. What was he, without consulting his other politician or political allies? Is that what it is?
not only Frundi deposited two, the term in French is recours. I don't know the term in English. I'm sorry, most of our terminology.
Their appeals.
He dropped 2 appeals at the Supreme Court to demand an annulment of the elections based on the massive fraud and the proofs that he had. He dropped 2 appeals that were considered, that were reserved, let me use that term, and were under advisement by the collegiality of the Supreme Court. The people examining, I won't call names because some are still alive and they are going to make their own statements in due time. I think Alexis Ipanda-Moile is writing his memoirs in which all this will be revealed. But talking about the major actors of the time, the then vice president of the SDF, Saidu Maidadi, because I asked him a lot and I spoke with another ruling party bigwig who was a major actor in the negotiations at the time. Ipanda-Moile had already written the decision to annul the elections because he had received security guarantees from the same Francis Cook, apparently guaranteeing him safety if he proceeded in annulling those elections. To his greatest surprise, Frunzi came on the eve and desisted from these appeals. And the famous statement, "Mes mains sont liées," my hands are tied, is usually attributed to the fact that he was under pressure, whereas that's not what he was referring to. He was referring to the fact that the Supreme Court is not habilitated to, permit me use the word in French, s'auto-saisir. The Supreme Court cannot constitute itself in any matter.
When
So
the plaintiff has pulled out.
Pardon?
When the plaintiff has pulled out.
So the plaintiff has pulled out.
The prosecution is pulled out.
With Frunzi having pulled out without explaining to his vice president, Saidu Maidadi, without even explaining to his allies of the time, the Alliance pour le Changement, I think that's what it was called. Garga was there, others were there. They were taken completely aback.
Amenim Biolo as well.
And the rest, even his own campaign manager was not aware that he had.
And then
nobody was aware. Titus Etua, who is the person who had those talks with him, the content of the discussions that led to him going to withdraw his appeals, he alone knows. With Titus is still alive, maybe you should call him and ask him what the discussions were that made him, how did he convince, what were the arguments that he laid before Frunzi for Frunzi to go and withdraw his appeals, desist from his appeals at the Supreme Court, appeals that already received a favorable from what we get to know today. So we don't discuss about Frunzi withdrawing his appeals, but we have spent so much time criticizing Bello, who himself was taken aback when he heard that the appeals were withdrawn. So what could Bello do when the decisions were made? Bello just said, "I accept the decision of the Supreme Court." Canto did same in 2004 when Frunzi was contesting the decisions of the Supreme Court. Canto said, and I quote, "The decisions of the Supreme Court are dogma, and it is without any possibility of appeal." That's Canto's own statement.
Being highest court in the land. Yeah. And that brings me to current perspective of your party, the current vision, how the party has evolved in UDP. Your candidate is running. Why not a young person? I mean, you are vibrant. You've been out there. You've had your baptism of fire with municipal elections, I think in 2011 in Yaoundé.
I remember you interviewed me at Canal J when I was running for municipal elections in 2013.
So
It was
why are they not handing you the helm of the party? Since the young people for 2 decades have been crying that they want fresh blood, and you're charismatic.
I'm very flattered that you are a great mind and you are a great opinion leader. I'm flattered that you think me capable of leading the party at a time as this. And trust me, it's if I say I've not heard such calls, I will not be honest. But let's be sincere, let's be frank. It's not about populism, it's about pragmatism. We all know that the best chances of the opposition winning is a coalition. If the ruling party has always maintained itself through coalitions, right from 92, the coalitions with Bakole, Daisala, with Kodok and the rest, the ruling party knows the importance of coalitions. How much more the opposition that has no lever of power. Okay, if we agree that the best chances of any party beating the CPDM is a coalition, then let us look at things differently. Can Paul MBAFOR today sit down if I am if I get my party ticket? Can I call Joshua Osi? Can I call Maurice Kamto? Do I have the girth to call Damjoya and the others to rally behind
What you're
me?
saying is at that level, you do not have the political gravitas to speak to these people at equal level.
I won't say I lack the political gravitas. I said the paradigms, the circumstances now, the prevailing circumstances now impose
An old fox.
the reality that we need two things. We need to beat the BR regime and we need to rebuild the country. I'm not sure we can have both at the same time. The first thing to do is to get the BR regime out. And for that, we need to build a very broad-based coalition. And I may be able, Matomba may be able, Cabral may be able to canvass a large coalition. But I think that Beluba Maigari, given his maturity, given the good relationships he has maintained
Across the board.
Across the board, Bello, he wasn't like other ministers while in government spend their time lambasting political leaders of the opposition. He kept a good relationship with Maurice, Professor Kamto, with O.C. Joshua, with John Frunzi, may so rest in peace, with everybody. You hardly find a political figure who has not had an enriching encounter with Bello.
But since 92, something seems to be wrong. I mean, this thing called coalition has not worked. There have been countless attempts. I remember in 2011 presidential election, Fruity coming to the late Dambuya's party headquarters at Yaoundé and 7 other parties. I mean, there was a mountain that hatched a mouse. What is, do you think you do need a coalition for the opposition to be able to win a presidential election in this context?
I don't want to sound presumptuous. I'm confident that the NUDP can win this election without a coalition. But I will still say...
Why did the NUDP win in 2018 then?
Pardon?
Why didn't the NUDP win? Oh, in 2018, you're right to say that he was not running as a candidate. He was running for BIA. You're right.
I didn't get the question.
No, I course corrected. He didn't run in 2018. He
Yes.
canvassed for Paul Biya, so it's a different game. But do you think he still has the fire of the 90s?
The fire of the 90s. The fire of the 90s is no longer a fire, it's magma. It is stronger. It's more mature, it's sound. There's been a lot of experience acquired. There's been a lot of weight that's been built. The party has deeper roots, and I think he stands the best chance. He stands the best chance of beating President Paul Biya. I don't want to be biased. I'm not saying this because I'm a militant of the NUDP. If you take all the 11 candidates that are retained now in the opposition, when you look at them, Angela, if you want to go through everybody's profile, look at the party that is carrying them, you look at their profile, please, I dare stand to be corrected. Can you give me one candidate that has a political apparatus as strong, as implanted, as disciplined, as organized as NUDP? If you give me that party, I'll be the first to meet my chairman tomorrow and say, please, let us throw our support behind this candidate. If you give me one candidate that has his pedigree, running a country is not running a school, a secondary school
He had no
cooperative.
pedigree in 92. He was seen as a rookie. Trudy was seen as a rookie in 92, and we know what the result was. He won. I mean,
In
in the fan
1990,
service is widely recorded and said that he won the election. So you need that apparatus in this kind of year. Is that enough?
in 92, Cameroon was 12 million inhabitants. I think in 92, we were barely 25 to 30 years out post-independence. We were still under the shackles of the post-colonial agreements with France. In 1992,
We still are.
the paradigms were totally different.
Diversified agreement for sure. We still are. The CFA flag is still attached to France.
Yes, but in 2025, we are doing the country that is 65 years old. We are doing the country that is 30 million inhabitants. The paradigms are completely
A lot
different.
more impoverished.
We are
A lot
dealing
more.
with a regime that has 43 years of rodage, 43 years of mastery, of having rehearsed and re-rehearsed and practiced and established a very powerful system of repression and all the mechanics of maintaining itself. These systems were not there in 92. In 92, Biya was barely 9 years in power. In 92, barely 10 years in power. It has taken him from 92 to now 30 years plus to build a system that will never, God forbid, be able to go through such a humiliation. To think that we can put up the 1992 strategies in 2025, I think is simple political naivety. Let us look at the facts. Now we need a powerful candidate who masters the system, one, who has a strong political apparatus, two, and who has a good relationship across the board. We know, you know better than I do, how polarized the opposition is today. The one candidate that stands the chances of talking with almost every other person, better than every other person, is Bello.
Let
And
me ask you a question.
God forgive me, maybe this statement won't please him. But at 77 years old, trust me, he's not coming to spend 40 years. He's coming to the essentials. And then we'll take it from there. If he comes in his program, I can really hint you that he's not for a 7-year term.
You
He's
have
for
a cross-section of Cameroonians who are unclear as to whether he effectively resigned. Now, can you confirm that he did resign when he said he was going to?
Please, I want to confirm this and I want to raise every form of ambiguity. Before the Congress, that was on the 28th of June, he cleared his office and liberated all the files. But before then, even 1 year ago, he quit the government house and moved to his own house. On the 27th, he cleared his office. There's no sheet of paper on his desk. On the 28th, he was presented as a candidate. 29th was a Sunday. Monday the 30th, he sent in his resignation. I don't want to give you more details, but I want to tell you, as somebody who was present, his resignation was tendered in. But in the same manipulative games and trying to discredit him, the government has refused to communicate on it. They rather communicated on Chiruma's own resignation, because Chiruma is not as a heavy, I mean, with all due respect, Chiruma doesn't have the weight that Bello has. Neither does his party have the weight.
Is it true
They are
that
refused to
his
appoint
former collaborators, his bodyguard and his former chauffeurs were harassed, were arrested, were
Yes.
interrogated?
Yes, I visited them, so I know firsthand all that has been going on behind the scenes. So please, I've seen your post, and you've kept asking when will he resign. Bello doesn't make noise. He's not into buzz. Bello resigned effectively, and I can confirm to you that Paul Biya has received his resignation. At least
Any
he
idea
has
of
that
how it
confirmation.
was received? The comments around his resignation in high-ranking circles? Do you have any indiscretions you'd like
Pardon?
to share with us?
Pardon?
Any idea of how his resignation was received in high-ranking circles?
It was a big shock. They didn't see it coming. They didn't believe that he would do that. They didn't believe, even when he called the Congress, uh, many of them called me. I received calls from various quarters trying to ask me, is he going to stand? Is he not going to stand? I just kept telling them, let's wait for the 28th. I won't say anything more. After the 28th, they were still doubting. And when he took his resignation, it was a bombshell. That I can assure you. And you can see that it's after his resignation that you started seeing all the meetings being held at the Unity Palace. He didn't have those meetings before the 28th. Those meetings began after the 28th, to tell you that that is what woke them up. There
One
was
of
no.
the key branding issues for any president who's going to take office or who's going to become president on the 12th of October is, of course, the Anglophone problem. That is the problem of problems in Cameroon. You are one just like myself. Do you have conversations with Bello Buba about the Anglophone war, the war on Anglophones? Is he worried about this? Is this like the primordial issue to him?
It
What
is
does he
the
tell
main
you?
issue. The Anglophone crisis is amongst his top priorities in his first 100 days in office. I do not want to go ahead to announce what are the measures he has penned in his manifesto, but I can assure you there's no Anglophone that won't be satisfied. Even the most radical of our brothers will be enchanted when they'll get his program and his plan for
You
them.
can at least tell us if in the first 100 days of a Bello Buba Magari presidency, we will have him release Anglophone prisoners, we would have him go to the Northwest and Southwest, have him
You won't wait for
call
the
for
first 100 days.
national conference,
He will not wait for the first
ceasefire.
100 days. I can assure you that he won't wait for the first 100 days. Our comrades in prison who were arrested for their divergent opinions on this crisis, even those who call for secession, can start packing their bags. Should Bello win on the 12th of October, they will celebrate. They'll be home way before Christmas.
Healthcare, security, defense. The northern parts of the country, where he's originally from, are some of the most affected in terms of insecurity with Boko Haram, healthcare with cholera outbreaks and all kinds
Angela,
of other outbreaks.
can you give me 1 second? Let me charge my phone. I'm at 1%. Let me just give me a second. Let
Of
me
course,
get a charge.
of
Let me
course.
just get a charge. Give me 1 second. A second, please.
Paul MBAFOR is the national president of the youth wing of the NDP party of Bello Buba. And as you all know, this year, in an unprecedented move, the minister decided that he was done with the government and his alliance with Paul Biya's CPDM, and he was going to run for president himself. He tells us some of the reasons why. He tells us and he confirms to us that Bello Buba Maigari has resigned from office as minister and is serious about his run for office. He believes that Bello Buba is the most able politician right now to beat the Biya regime. And you
All
tell
right.
us that
I'm back.
the Anglophone crisis or the war on Anglophones is a key preoccupation of his, and in less than 100 days, if he is elected, he would release Anglophone prisoners.
If I should buttress that point, the Anglophone crisis is not a burden just of recent because he's running for office. I'll go back to the tripartite talks. The Munas were there, Frunti was there. Ask those who were present. The only politician present who vehemently expressed his opposition to the change of our nomenclature from the United Republic to La République and all that it implied in the letter, in the spirit, was Bilba Maigari. And he warned of the consequences as far back as then. He had the Anglophone problem at heart. He was a strong defender of the Anglophone identity, their particularity, and started already opposing the hyper-centralization of powers. He was amongst those who strongly advocated for decentralization, and during the so-called grand dialogue, I accompanied him to the preparatory meetings at the Prime Minister's office, where he kept insisting on these points. So his burden for the Anglophone people is not just born now. That would be quite opportunistic of him if it's just now he got up to start defending Anglophone courses.
The
But
northern parts of the country where he originates from have some of the lowest literacy rates in the country. And how does he plan to fix that?
you want me to start disclosing to you my candidate's political program in 2 days?
Disclosure. He's selling. You are selling for him. It should be known to us.
I don't want to steal the spotlight from him. I want him to present his program himself. I will tell you, he has a very ambitious program that touches on institutional reforms, economic reforms, and infrastructural reforms. I just pray that Cameroonians vote Marguerite Bello Buba. He's very discreet and doesn't talk a lot. But I want to guarantee you that when you get a copy of his program, it's a 300-page program. It's not a joke. He's been working on it for more than a decade. His program is 300-page thick. It goes right down to figures, costs. I've never seen such an elaborate political program in Africa. I'm not doing. I'm not selling here. I'm talking of what I have read, I've gone through, and I was, like we say in Pidgin, Abelefu. I'm impressed with his program personally.
On Friday, he's speaking to the press, and I assume you're going to be there. Could you give us any insider tidbits on what to expect?
He's going to tell Cameroonians who are eager to know why he quit the government, why it took so much time for him to quit, and why he decided to run for office. And he's going to present, well, he cannot present a 300-page document, but he's going to really make it public, and from then on his website, his political program will be announced, but he's just going to give highlights of his program. So he's not a verbose person at all. He will mention the essentials, and then he's going to take questions from journalists.
Do you have any final words before we close?
Angela, thank you very much for all you're doing. I follow you very closely, and I'm sure you've noticed that I'm one of your stalkers on the net. Thank you for all this activism you're doing. Bringing down an ancient dragon takes the combined efforts of all forces of our society. I hope that after you get acquainted with Bello's program, just like you defended Professor Kamto and through your full support behind him, I hope you will analyze for yourself, judge for yourself, read for yourself, and make a sincere choice and reorient your advocacy for these candidates, not only for him, but also advocate. Throw in your full weight and your voice for a strong coalition to be built around him. And also continue advocating to make sure that what is promised is what is delivered. So I thank you, and all those who will watch, I want to tell you, please do a lot of fact finding. Don't stop at slogans. Dig, cultivate yourself. Get to know what happened, what are the facts, and only come to a decision after you have, in a very cool-headed way, without bias nor prejudice, gone through all the facts, gone through all the offers, and then think of what is best for Cameroon. Thank you very much, Angela.
John MBAFOR, it's been a pleasure having you. Best of luck in
Paul
your
MBAFOR,
sorry.
not John. John is my
The two of
brother.
you are popular, and in fact, that was my final takeout. Seeing your brother, and you coming out very sternly and condemning his contribution to, you know what? You want to make any comments on that?
Angela, I hope you won't bring this up, but now you brought it up, I must comment. John is my brother. I love my brother. I know my brother, and I know our lamentations on the calamity that this regime has brought upon us. I still can't fathom why and how he found himself in that scenario. I questioned him why. I mean, I was perplexed. I was dumbfounded, and I don't have any justifications for that. Maybe he will tell you, like the Pandamwele said in '92, my hands are tied. I know where he stands. I know his own frustrations with his comrades in their party. And I know that he wants what's good for Cameroon. I just think that's my opinion. He's fighting the wrong battle in the wrong army. And I hope that, like all Cameroonians wish today, I hope for him that they lose and we win. And when we win, God willing, we will work with everybody. You have good churchgoers and you have bad churchgoers. Not everybody in the CPDM is evil. You have some good people there. Not everybody in the opposition is good. You have some truants in the opposition as well. So I think my brother is amongst the good folk you have in the CPDM. I can't explain the contradiction of him going to that charade, but I know that in his heart of hearts, he wants the change we are all dreaming and longing for.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, there you have it. That was Paul MBAFOR, National Youth Week president of the NUDP of Belopupa, who is hosting a press conference on Friday to tell us why he resigned from the BR regime and to share a little bit more about his political program as he prepares to run for president on October 12, 2025. This is it. On the night when, hours after the refusal, the throwing out of Maurice Kamto's appeal to be able to be put back in the race, we were able to speak with the youth wing chairman of the NUDP, who condemns such a rejection of a candidate, such an ostracization of a main or a, the main political opposition figure in Cameroon. This has been Angie Forbin, and until we meet again, I wish you a wonderful evening. And it has been a hectic hell of a week. Goodbye.